Why is it called Brass Knuckle Gang?
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of people are like, hey, it's ham radio. Why are you bringing gang into the picture? At the end of the day, I grew up in a really rough neighborhood in the suburbs of Utah. Just kidding, I didn't. I was actually so sheltered that in my 30s I felt an inner need to just lash out in kind of a very safe and law-abiding, FCC-respecting way. Thus, Brass Knuckle Gang was born.
Oh, it's a gang, all right. It's a gang of mild-mannered, technically minded geeks all acutely aware that our obsessions make us insufferable to our friends and family. So we come here to express ourselves, to fly our freak flags in all their glory. Summits on the Air is like Pokemon Go, but harder and with radios. Because once you've got your ham radio license and a ham radio, you have to figure out what to do with this expensive glorified walkie-talkie, and one of the things you can do with it is learn to communicate with it in a much more esoteric fashion than just speaking, even though that's totally possible as well, but that's too easy. So some of us use Morse code.
The reason it's called Brass Knuckle Gang for real is the original Quanching modification, the IJV 2.95 that the forefathers and holy brethren of the 2-meter CW Pacific Northwest and California utilized was manual key only. And everybody knows if you're utilizing a manual key, you're pounding brass. So in one way or another, it just came up in my head, and honestly, it probably happened within 30 seconds or a minute. And I remember that first short that I did when I announced Brass Knuckle Gang. It happened very quick, it was an idea, and I never thought it would amount to anything.
One of the major themes for this year's annual W7O Campout, W7O being the Summits on the Air designator for the state of Oregon, hence the location in Central Oregon, was 2-meter CW, or rather Morse code sent between cheap little handheld radios modified using software written by one of our own November Romeo 7 Yankee, Brian, seen here guiding a group of campers through the process of building their very own Morse code paddles following a design from yet another amateur radio operator, Adam, K6ARK. There are diverse motives amongst our group, but one of the most transparent is our shameless desire to make more people like us. But one can't just breed a ham radio operator, so like zombies, it is necessary for us to infect others with our fixation on electromagnetism through exposure. If you make the mistake of acting even a little bit interested in something we're doing, we will attempt to lure you in. There were swarms of tortoiseshell butterflies at all the summits last year, and we were graced with their presence again this year. Obviously not the exact same butterflies, but that's not important. It's just one of the remarkable sights awaiting activators in the Central Cascades, because this part of Oregon really is a special place. And if you haven't yet availed yourself of the opportunity to summit Mount Bachelor, you should add it to your bucket list, because this is one of the easiest and best 360-degree views you're going to get of the Central Cascades. Not that this is the only summit. There were tons of summits everywhere, and there were even people who climbed South Sister. But that's like 4,000 or 5,000 feet of climbing, and I was not up for that on this trip. From the top of Mount Bachelor, we just banged out our contacts on 2-meter SSB, all fellow campers, and called it a day without even setting up an HF antenna. There just wasn't enough incentive to want to go to the trouble. And that's one of the things that happens at the W7O Campout, with summit to summits galore and chasers everywhere and all the socializing that you're doing with other campers at the same summits when you run into them and taking group photos. I mean, what's the incentive to make things difficult? And with that activation accomplished, we returned to camp to gather for the necessary and important group photo, this time in front of the lake. We had over 70 attendees come from as far away as Connecticut for this campout. I mean, really, people were from everywhere. A lot of Californians and Washingtonians made it. The W7O Campout just seems to be like weirdly central for the West Coast, but yeah, we get people from everywhere. And as we all know, assembling a group that large is no easy task. But we got it done with acceptable results. And like campouts past, Saturday night was the night of the largest gathering. It was nice to make eyeball QSOs with the gathered attendees, basically to put faces to those call signs I've written into my logbook so many times, and to finally find out what this Brass Knuckle Gang was really all about, especially to discover, to my great relief, that it is indeed nothing to fear. It's a rare and precious thing indeed to gather together with a group this size, all dedicated to such a narrow and esoteric interest. It's a certainty that folks assembled for something like this are going to find a lot to talk about and much to do with each other. And we certainly did. And I'd be remiss not to point out that ATN even wrote us a little song that we kind of tried to sing along after the group photo.
It's very, very cold out This is my message from the top of the world, from my little white clouds of
What can I say? We're radio ops, not a professional choir. It was a fantastic camp out, and I can't wait for the next one.
Thank you for being yourself and holding that camera so wonderfully and taking the SOTA Campout photo today. Thanks. I love you.